women are not tiny men, and it's about time we started acting like it, because understanding the information in this video will genuinely change your whole entire life. If you're new here, my name is JC, and I have really been through it all in terms of hormones. I was on birth control, I completely lost my period, and the pursuit of getting it back and having a healthy, regular 28-day cycle made me realize that there was so much we were never taught about our own bodies and how they operate. So in this video, I pulled together everything I wish I knew, things that would have made my life so much easier if I had just known this from the beginning. I pulled together all the psychology, how it impacts your energy and your moods, and science-backed practices that will help you to feel better every single month. So by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening in each phase and how to use that information to advocate for yourself, how to adapt your workouts, your nutrition, and your routines to each phase, and just feel more stable, balanced, and supported throughout the month. We've been taught to live like our hormones reset every single morning, having the same schedule, expectations, routines every single day, when our body actually doesn't work like that. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Men's hormones reset on a 24-hour cycle, but as women, we have a cycle that spans 28 days. And that 28-day cycle is guided by 5 key hormones. So here's a quick overview of the main ones so that you can understand what's happening behind the scenes throughout each phase. FSH, or your follicle stimulating hormone, starts things off by signaling to your ovaries to grow new follicles. Then we have LH, which is your luteinizing hormone, and this is what triggers ovulation mid-cycle. Third, we have testosterone, which gives you a little boost of energy and confidence at the midpoint of your cycle. Fourth, we have estrogen, which is building slowly throughout your cycle, boosting serotonin and dopamine, which are your mood, focus, and motivation chemicals. And lastly, we have progesterone, which dominates the second half of your cycle, calming your nervous system and helping you rest and reset. And these 5 hormones create a little recipe throughout your cycle that is responsible for so many changes in how you feel week to week during the month. Now that you know the 5 key hormones, let's go into the phase-by-phase breakdown to learn what's actually happening in your brain and body and how to adapt your lifestyle so your hormones work with you rather than against you. Okay, starting off with the most commonly known menstrual phase that lasts for about 1 to 6 days, your period really marking the start of your cycle. When I was younger, I thought that your cycle was just this 1 to 6 day period, and I didn't know anything else that happened after that, which is so interesting because this is truly just one piece of the puzzle. In your menstrual phase, your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are all at their lowest point. The lining of your uterine is literally shedding here, which is what's causing the bleeding. Inflammation is actually higher in your body at this point due to prostaglandins, which are the compounds that cause cramping to happen. If you have any autoimmune conditions or any chronic health things, they might actually flare up during this time. What I'm going through today is just a baseline. Use this information to advocate for yourself. Everyone's body is different. So while there's a predictable pattern that you can understand by understanding the hormones that are at play, getting accurate testing, which I can do a whole deep dive on in another video if you guys want, will help you so much to understand your unique chemistry here. During this phase, you might feel more achy, tired, more emotional, but your brain also kind of gets a reset. While the first few days of my cycle are a bit tough, I honestly feel like a relief as soon as I start bleeding because my brain just feels more clear than it does in luteal phase. Some research here actually suggests that when your hormone levels are low, your brain's left and right hemispheres are able to communicate more effectively, which is why you might have a sense of clarity or aha moments during your menstrual phase. I find that journaling and reflecting during this time actually tends to be really powerful because it brings up things that I missed during other phases in my cycle. This is a time to really listen to your body. The first few days of when you're bleeding, try to prioritize more rest and a little bit more slowness. You don't have to take a full rest week during your period if you feel good. I find that the first 2 or 3 days of my period are when I really need more rest. And then by the 3rd day, I feel ready to go back to some of my normal routines and I tend to have higher energy. But like I said, everyone's body is different. So really tune in and find what your body is asking for. For your nutrition, eat iron-rich foods. Think leafy greens, beans, red meat, dark chocolate. Even taking an iron supplement during this time can help you to feel less of a fatigue because you're replacing the nutrients that you're losing. Anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, ginger, omega-3s, and having warmer foods and teas during this time can help to reduce cramping. Once your period ends around day 5 or 6, you will start to go into the follicular phase. This goes from day 6 to around day 13 of your cycle. During During this phase, your estrogen rises and your body starts maturing new follicles. Your brain might start to feel sharper, your mood lifts, and you probably just feel naturally more motivated and social. This is because rising estrogen levels start to slowly boost dopamine and serotonin, which means you're more optimistic and mentally focused. This phase is the best time for brainstorming, socializing, and trying new things. You might find that your pain tolerance is higher during this phase, your coordination improves, and you're just generally more open to trying something new and going outside your comfort zone. The rising estrogen here can also make your blood sugar a little bit more unstable. So to support yourself during this phase, making sure that you have balanced meals, that you're eating regularly throughout the day, and that you're not overdoing it on caffeine can really help to reduce the effects of any crashes or irritability that you might have during this phase. Because of the balance of hormones here, this is a good time for saying yes to new projects, for setting new goals, because you'll feel more motivated, open, and resilient. Around days 14 to 17 of your cycle, you will transition into ovulation phase, which means you'll probably experience some of your favorite days. This is the midpoint of your cycle where your body releases an egg. Contrary to what we were told when we were younger, this is the only time of the month that you can get pregnant. So if you're trying for a baby, this is your time. You can confirm ovulation by tracking your temperature throughout the month. I personally use the Oura Ring in natural cycles, but I know data privacy is a big concern for a lot of people. And I researched that Clue is one of the most secure apps if you're looking for a new app to try. In this phase, your estrogen is peaking. You get a little burst of testosterone, luteinizing hormone, LH, spikes here to trigger ovulation. This combination of hormones really does something good for me because this is really when I feel like my best self. During this phase, you probably feel magnetic. You feel extroverted, confident, expressive. Studies even show that women are more verbally fluent, which as a content creator, I totally feel this. It is so much easier for me to articulate my thoughts during ovulation. You might notice that your skin is glowing, your energy is higher, and your motivation is pretty much just at an all-time peak. But there's also a little caveat here because while ovulation makes most people feel that amazing magnetic feeling I was just referring to, some people actually can feel more anxious, overstimulated, getting headaches, or ovulation pain during this time. So like I said, everyone's body is different. If you are one of those people that feels amazing during this phase, this is your time to shine. This is a great time to focus on your creative projects, social life, take on more high intensity with your workouts, lift heavier. But if you're getting symptoms like headaches or bloating, it's likely because estrogen is causing you to have an excess of histamines. Histamines are like your body's alarm system that something is wrong, and it kind of triggers an overactivation of your immune system. So if you're feeling this way, try to lower histamine-rich foods, things like wine or cheese or processed meats, and focus more on cruciferous, crunchy veggies that will help bind to that extra estrogen. A little hack that I started doing, and I'm going to make a whole nother video on this, is I started taking an antihistamine from ovulation phase to my period to help lower the histamine response, because while I felt okay during my ovulation phase, I was really struggling during my luteal phase because of this excess of histamine in my body that was causing depression and fatigue. I can get into this more in another video, but taking an antihistamine really helps me. So try that out. Ovulation is your body's peak capacity. So use it for big conversations or brainstorming, but also don't ignore this if you're feeling like you're getting overstimulated. After ovulation, around day 18 to 28, you are now in the luteal phase. This is where the empty follicle becomes what's called the corpus luteum, which starts to produce progesterone. Progesterone is almost like your body's chill pill. Like it's this hormone that is supposed to help you calm and wind down. In the beginning of the luteal phase, while the estrogen is still rising, you might feel this nice calming effect where you're craving more alone time, you might be sleeping better, and just overall having this sense of wanting to organize or nest. This is a good time to just like lock in and finish projects rather than starting new ones. In my luteal phase this month, I completely reorganized all of my closets, my cabinets, and I just got so focused on this organization and nesting mode. Your luteal phase is long, almost 10 days. So as you move into the later parts of your luteal phase, your progesterone starts to drop. And this is where things start to get a little bit challenging. The progesterone dropping also affects your serotonin and your blood sugar. So this is where the signs of classic PMS or PMDD start to come in, like fatigue, mood swings, and anxiety. Here, your immune system also becomes more reactive. So if you have any sort of chronic illness or chronic pain, it can start to flare up. I have Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune disease, and I find that my flare-ups are the worst during luteal phase because of this increase in inflammation. You also might find you are starving during this phase. And most people don't know this, but this is because your basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories calories your body burns at rest is actually increasing by 5 or 10% here, which roughly translates to about 200 to 300 calories per day. So it makes total sense why you're hungrier during this phase. I find that I am insatiable, so I eat a lot of extra food during my luteal phase compared to the other phases. To support yourself during this phase, starting to switch to lower intensity movements because your body is already going through a lot of stress during this phase. So adding extra stress is really not what we need to be doing. If you're someone that follows a lifting plan or a running plan and you don't want to completely just give up your plan for a whole 2 weeks of your cycle, I would just recommend dialing it down a little bit, adding extra rest and extra food during this time of the cycle. Really, again, listening to your body so that you're not overloading your system with extra stress. Sleep is always important, but especially during the cycle because your body is more sensitive to getting less sleep. So try as best as possible to sleep more in this phase and give your body extra rest. Mentally, I feel like this phase can bring up a lot of emotional honesty. So I feel like the things that are not aligned really stand out to me. Instead of just brushing this off like, oh, I'm just PMSing or being emotional, really pay attention and reflect on that. I wouldn't take any big actions during your luteal phase, but I would pay attention to what's coming up here. If you're someone who struggles with severe pmdd and you have intense feelings of depression or anxiety or hopelessness during this phase, you are not alone. I have struggled so much with this, and I am just now getting to a place where I feel like I can be a normal human during my luteal phase. So if you want me to make another video of everything I did, just comment down below because I am so passionate about this topic. Focus on foods that are rich in magnesium, B6, and omega-3s during this phase for mood support. So things like salmon or dark chocolate are really good for nourishing your body. Nutrition is so important. Eating balanced meals with protein and complex carbs will help to stabilize your serotonin and your blood sugar. Eating more during this phase is really important. Otherwise, it will make the irritability and low energy even worse. Understanding this 28-day cycle changed my whole entire life. It is so important to track your cycle. I have used the Oura Ring paired with the Natural Cycles integration for years, and it has been so helpful in understanding how my body reacts to these different phases. Your Oura Ring will capture your temperature, and you'll see after ovulation your body temperature will rise. And then I always know when I'm getting my period because I can see the temperature drop in the app. Natural Cycles is where you can track any changes with your mood, your energy, your sex drive. And if you have a partner, you can even share this data with them so that they can see the data and understand your body better too. Especially in the beginning of starting to understand this, I think tracking is essential because otherwise you will just feel crazy. I feel like it took so many cycles for me to be like, oh, okay, this happens every single month. It's going to be okay. This is because of the change in hormones. And even though I have been bleeding for over 20 years, only in the last couple of months, I've really gotten a handle of understanding my own patterns throughout my cycle. When I started to understand this, I stopped expecting myself to show up exactly the same every single week. I shifted around my schedule to do harder tasks during follicular and ovulation and to be able to take more rest during my luteal and menstruation phases. And I stopped labeling these fluctuations in my energy and my mood as lazy or inconsistent. Once I started respecting my cycle, I actually started to be more consistent. As someone who was on birth control and then who didn't get my period for years, I understand how frustrating it can be to feel like you're doing everything right and to feel like your period is just something that's so out of your control. If you're dealing with an irregular cycle, severe PMS, severe PMDD, if you've talked to your doctor and you haven't gotten answers, it's probably because a normal blood test that you would just get from a regular doctor is not giving you an accurate picture of your hormones. Since our hormones fluctuate so much, the only real way to get an accurate reading of your hormones is through something called the Dutch test, which measures how your body processes hormones over a full day. There's a whole protocol around the Dutch test to make sure you get an accurate reading. It's a little expensive. I think it's around $500, but getting this test changed everything for me because it helped me to stop guessing what was wrong with my body and gave me such a clear picture of what I needed to do to get my period back and get to a more stable place. I know that it's easy to get overwhelmed by all of the advice that's out there. Trust me, I used to be right there with you. All of the advice that you see on social media about balancing your hormones or testosterone phase or eating and cutting out different certain foods or supplements is honestly just really frustrating because the truth is the less that you understand about your body, the easier it is for people to sell you things to fix problems that you might not even have. All of the information in this video is to help you understand what actually is going on in your body so that you can make informed decisions about your health and advocate for what you need rather than just listening to this random advice or feeling like it's something that's out of your control. Okay, we talked a lot in this video, so here are the main takeaways. One is to track your cycle for a few months to start to understand your own patterns. Once you understand your patterns, use that data to plan smarter. Focus on more output, collaboration, and creative expression during your follicular and ovulation phases, rest, reflection, and recovery during your luteal and menstrual phases. Fuel your body properly. Nutrition is so important, and eating enough food is going to make the whole cycle work better. Your reproduction system is considered a non-essential function of your body. This is why if you're over-exercising or under-eating, oftentimes it results in losing your period. Trying to eat low-calorie or skip meals is only going to make your symptoms worse. Sleep and stress matter so much. Your hormones don't work in isolation. Your nervous systems and the way that you rest are key to make sure they function properly. Lastly is to advocate for yourself. If your period is irregular or painful, or if you have severe PMS symptoms, trust your intuition. Find a provider who looks at your hormones holistically and know that not every test will show the whole picture. The goal of learning about these phases isn't to perfectly sync your life to your hormones. It's about understanding your body well enough to stop fighting it and start making choices that actually support you. Your hormones are not working against you. They are constantly giving you information. Once you understand what these signals mean, I promise everything will get a whole lot easier. I have been there and I have really tried everything. So now knowing all of the science, knowing what's happening, finding practices that work for my body, I want to be able to share them with you guys so that you can also find more ease and balance in your own life. So if you're wanting to understand how this looks in real life, what I actually do week to week, what I eat, how I work out, how I plan my weeks around my cycles, make sure you subscribe because all of those videos are coming soon.